everyone. Welcome to another edition of StreamSide Chats, a video podcast featuring small-scale hydro practitioners who are advancing energy access for rural development. The podcast is made possible by our generous speakers and the Secretariat of the Hydro Empowerment Network, or HPNet, and funded by the Visions Initiative at the Wuppertal Institute for Climate, Environment, and Energy. I'm Deepti Baghela, the network facilitator and manager. In the last edition of StreamSide Chats, we examined the sector in Nepal, learning how appropriate capacity building and finance enabled local practitioners to bring electricity to over 3,000 communities and strengthen economic resilience through extensive productive end use. In this edition, we focus on a fascinating sector in Pakistan, where the Aga Khan Rural Support Program, or AKRSP, and its regional partners have implemented over 1,000 projects in partnership with rural communities. Of particular interest is AKRSP's community utility model, similar to a public limited company model, but one which uses a women-centric approach to governance and productive end use. To learn more, we're privileged to hear from Mr. Sherzad Ali Khan today, the coordinator of the Aga Khan Development Network for the Gilgit-Baltistan and Chitral regions of northern Pakistan. At AKDN, Sherzad ji is responsible for multiple community-driven development programs, including renewable energy, agriculture, job creation, productive infrastructure, and communication. Similar to Nepal, the sector in Pakistan was established several decades ago. The pioneering efforts were led by AKRSP, which is now one of AKDN's development agencies. Prior to his current role at AKDN, Sherzad ji has served as AKRSP's head of renewable energy, community infrastructure, and monitoring and evaluation, which is when he innovated the community ownership models for micro and mini hydropower, leading to the community utility model. With his senior level multi-thematic perspectives, we are extremely fortunate to have Sherzad ji on the board of HPNet's Board of Advisors. Without further ado, let's connect with Sherzad ji. We had some gaps with my audio visual during the interview, so we've improvised as needed, and we appreciate your flexibility. Thank you.
So my name is Sherzad Ali Khan. Currently, I am working as a coordinator of Aga Khan Development Network for Gilgit-Baltistan and Chitral, a program region of AKDN. Previously, I worked with the Aga Khan Rural Support Program and led the energy and infrastructure component in AKRSP. Raman is one of the villages, small villages in Chitral district of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of Pakistan, the northern Pakistan. So this unit is one of the medium-sized MHP of AKRSP, assisted by AKRSP, basically constructed by the communities. Raman hydropower unit was constructed, it was started in 2011, and there was some delays due to unavailability of donor funds. However, we secured some donor funds in 2014 and it was completed in 2015. It is 0.5 megawatt, 500 kilowatt unit, providing electricity to around 1,100 households in the valley. So it covers majority of the household in Laspur Valley. The valley is called Laspur, but the village is called Raman. So the unit is constructed by the communities of Raman. So that is why it is called Raman Hydro Power Project. So the unit is quite enough to provide electricity for lighting purpose, for heating and cooking, as well as some of the commercial units are getting electricity from this unit. initially, when AKRSP started the micro hydro program, AKRSP is a support organization. It does not have the full technical capacity and mandate to construct micro hydro only. It is a rural development and rural support program. So AKRSP deals a number of interventions. So that also includes energy or micro hydro program. So we started with very small units from 20 kilowatt. Now the biggest unit is around 800 kilowatt. So the initial model was the maintenance committee formed by the village organization, which has the ownership of any unit in a village. So the village organization is a semi-formal organization managing AKRSP assisted projects. So it went for the micro hydro as well, and the communities formed a maintenance committee with the responsibility to run the project. So initially they collected fee or tariff at a flat rate, and just to cover the operation and maintenance cost of a unit. And that system evolved to a more formal arrangement because we went for bigger units, and we imported machineries from China and other countries, and it was somehow a sophisticated system to manage. And also the financial system need to be transparent, and there needs to be a formal system for collecting and spending finance. So AKRSP came up with the idea of utility company. So the utility company is a formal and registered organization registered with the government under Security Exchange of Pakistan. With the ownership of the community. The model suggests that the community members form the utility company, and AKRSP as an investor will be part of the utility company as a shareholder. So all the members, the beneficiary households, are member of the utility companies represented by their representative selected through a proper process. So this unit is run by a utility company, which is called Shandur Utility Company, which is a formally registered organization. The governing body is called Board of Governors, represented by the community representative, and then AKRSP. AKRSP is a major shareholder, 51% shareholder, with the idea to gradually shift this share to community and make this unit sustainable. So the management body basically comprises two bodies. One is the Board of Governors or Board of Directors. The other is the management, which is led by a CEO or coordinator. So the board is the governing body, providing guidance, providing support, ensuring community support, and help management to run the unit in a sustained manner. So the board of directors and the management closely work to operate the units and ensure that the unit is run in a sustained manner. The tenure is for 5 years. So the board is selected for 5 years, and they are also represented by women. In the board currently, there are 4 members from the community. 2 of them are women. So that is AKRSP policy. And AKRSP has 2 members, one the CEO of AKRSP, and the finance person is the member of the board, and the CEO is ex-officio member of the board of directors. Yes, the utility company developed the rules and regulation, but certainly AKRSP provided support from it is finance and from it is HR. So they have the operation manual, they have some policies, including HR policy, travel policy, and financial policy. So they are trying to keep it transparent. Since AKRSP is a major shareholder in the companies, also AKRSP is patronizing such utility companies. They are evolving. So AKRSP support is there. AKRSP has been providing technical support to strengthen these utility companies. So transparency and systems are important. So all these utility companies have clear rules and regulations, how to run the units, how to collect the tariffs, and what are the rules and regulations applied to the beneficiary household in terms of getting electricity, paying, and in case of any damage, how to tackle those issues. It does not have its own business, but the idea is to support the commercial utilization of the unit, because in the off-peak hours there is generally underutilization. So the utility company wants to increase the commercial use of the electricity because it's going west. So that is why the company is investing in promoting commercial use and productive end use of the electricity, but it does not have its own business. It supports the individuals, supports the communities to run businesses, especially the women to initiate and run businesses. So far, there are more than 20 enterprises which are getting support from utility companies and which are getting electricity in a reasonable and affordable rates to run their businesses. AKRSP not only provide capacity building, but also provide some startups to the women who are coming with good proposals for businesses, right, through other programs. We are also encouraging communities to use the electricity for agriculture purpose, for commercial agriculture, because we have cultivable land, but that lack of irrigation waters. So one of the ideas is to lift water from the river and bring those productive land under cultivation, especially for commercial production, because this area is famous for high value horticulture. So that includes vegetables and fruit, pears, cherries, and other high value products. It does support the capacity building of the communities to use the electricity for productive purpose, and also provide startup supports and training to the entrepreneurs who wants to engage in commercial activities. The idea was to go for a hybrid model. We did not have that time donor funds to fully support the construction of the unit. And either AKRSP, did not have much internal funds to support the communities. So the idea was, since there is a potential to cost recovery in terms of commercial use of the unit and high demand for electricity in the area, it is off-grid area. So there was no plan for government to extend it is grid for 20, 30 years. So based on that, it was envisaged that the unit can recover the cost. So AKRSP went for a hybrid model. We used donor funds, the available donor funds, and some AKRSP put its own money, and then the loan, a bank loan. So that time we got loan from equipment fund, and then it was shifted to the Habib Bank, which is one of the commercial banks in Pakistan. So you look at the funding. So around 67% was SDC support, the grants to AKRSP. Then there was 18% of the construction cost was loan taken from equipment fund. Then Habib Bank, it was shifted to Habib Bank. due to high interest rate. And the AKRSP investment was 8.6%, and then community invested around 6% of the total cost. So mainly in-kind contribution was made in terms of free land, labor, and materials. The issue was who will pay the bank loan. So community was reluctant to take responsibility. That is why AKRSP, AKRSP endowment fund was mortgaged against the loan in the Habib Bank. So naturally, the liability comes to AKRSP. So that is one component. Also, AKRSP invested in the from its own resources, internal resources. So the idea was community should provide at least 10% of the cost, providing in-kind contribution and also some cash contribution. So the idea was to, reduce the burden on the communities initially, and then when the unit is functional and start recovering costs, so the loan will be paid through the profit. So that now works. So now the unit is recovering its cost and gradually paying the bank loans. Once they recover all the loan, so AKRSP will shift its own equity to community, and it will be fully community-owned utility company represented by the community members. Okay. Every household. That was a legal issue. We consulted because if one member from the household, actually we need an identity card, right, for registering as a shareholder. So the household is not a unit for the registering authority. So what we did is within the household nominated one person through document that this person is representing this household as a shareholder. In case of his or her death, the nominee was, appointed by the household. So that documentation was done. It's a public utility company. So then all households who are getting electricity from the unit are member of the utility company. And then from each cluster, the board member was selected for the utility company board of governors. However, in the general body, all the households are member through one person nominated by the household through a proper document. It was, I don't remember the exact amount. I guess it was less than 3,000 Pakistani rupees initially, and then they increased. Also the cost provided by communities in terms of in-kind contribution, right, for local materials and other things. That was also included in the share. Because if you engage one person for free labor, right, and then you need to pay him or her for his or her labor on daily basis. So if this amount is saved in the community organization, the village organization, and that was shifted to utility companies, and it becomes the share of the household. The household, it is a remote area, so people are generally poor, so they don't have cash. So what they do, they work in the irrigation, the water channel. They work in the powerhouse, provide laborers, whether skilled laborers and general laborers work. So the contractor needs to pay, or the community organization who is constructing, the construction committee of the community organization who is responsible to construct the unit has to record all the laborers and has to pay. If they are not paid, so it is unfair. So if they are not paid, the amount is saved, and for their consent and after documentation, the share is defined. For example, the daily rate is 200 rupees. That time it was 200 or 300 rupees. So if they work for a month, so it becomes a good amount. That was the incentive, right? If you have 3,000 rupees share in the utility company, so you are expecting good income as a dividend, right? Because you know you are paying and the utilization is increasing. So then you sometimes you recommend to increase the tariff. So people know if they increase the tariff, their share will increase, their dividends will increase. So it is a is a model where the money remains within the community in terms of tariff and in terms of share.
Yeah,
if the unit is making profit, it means the profit goes to the communities. So if you are increasing the tariff, so again, you expect increase in the share amount. That is the interesting point, because the community knows that they own the units, they are the owners, right? So if board of governors decides so on behalf of the community members, so they are confident that the money is there, it's not going anywhere. Okay, interestingly, we intentionally ask the communities to not ask for the dividend distribution for 2-3 years. So what we do, we accumulate some money for your maintenance, and if there are some damages, right? Because it is very expensive machinery, imported machinery. So what we have in Raman, we have 5 million PKR saving in the utility company's account, right? So it is a good amount, 5 million Pakistani rupees. In addition, the unit is generating around 800,000 annually. That is the average amount, maybe more than that. And the total expenses are around 160,000 per month. So it means that currently the operation costs are much more than the recovery. But we had a subsidy from AKRSP, and now the utilization has increased. The target is to meet the expenses, the operation and maintenance, and then have some more savings for the maintenance and repair in future if that is needed. No, we need to work on this. That was intentionally we asked the utility companies to include women, because our focus is on. I think this project was given to women organization, Raman, if I remember, right? It was not given to the village organization. We have two type of organization. For women specific needs, we have village women organization in each village, and then we have general village organization. I guess this project was given to the women organization because we had very that time active women organization. Still, we have good women organization in Raman. So, and three categories. One is the board of directors, where we have good representation of women, and then we have management, where we have tried to hire women, qualified women. So far, we have 2 women, what we call the vendor point in charge, right? So two women are doing this job. Other staff, we have not been able to hire women as engineer or operational plant operation officer. So far, 2 of the technical staff are women. Third is the beneficiaries. Beneficiaries, not the household, the commercial users. So our focus is to promote women enterprises. So one of the projects recently we have signed with the Canadian government is called Women Economic Empowerment Project. So majority of the activities are to empower women economically, and we will be providing this area will be the part of the program area where we will be focusing on young women to start their own businesses. So at the beneficiary level, we are also including women. And at board level, yes, we have women representative. At management, we are trying to increase the number of women staff if available. The board is generally a governing body, so it does not interfere in the management. Only makes policies, interact with the communities, and represent communities' aspiration and communities' needs in the board of governance. They appoint the CEO, or currently we call it the coordinator. The CEO is responsible for the management of the unit. So currently, in the management team, they have finance and admin officer, 2 vendor point in charge, two female. Then there's office assistant and the security guard. In the technical side, they have plant operation manager, 3 operators, 2 linemen, and 1 watchman in the unit. So that all are supervised by the CEO, and the CEO reports to the board of directors and provide all the information to board of directors in their meetings, and sometimes they convene special meetings if there is outstanding issue and support the CEO and the management team. The board of directors, the chair of the board of directors usually closely work with the CEO to resolve this, and the meetings of the board of directors are as per the rule of the registering authority. So it is very formal, and we need to ensure compliance of the company. It is a company, so we need to ensure the compliance and other regulations of the registering authority. Okay, the decisions are taken by the board, but they go by the rules and regulations they have set. So they don't need to decide in the board meeting. So CEO knows what are the rules and regulations. If there's something outstanding, they can convene the board, and the CEO can ask the board to guide. Otherwise, the rules and regulations are there, the manuals are there, so they go by paper. Right. For example, if somebody does not pay, some household does not pay the tariff, so it is 3 months. So they give them notice twice or 3 times, and if still unpaid, so the connection is removed, right? And the matters goes to board. If they need to restore, the household needs to pay the dues, and then request the management to restore the connection. So, for example, so since these are matters which occur in other areas as well, in other AKRSP, so there was lesson learned how to go with tackling this issue. So that is why AKRSP emphasized on coming up with rule regulations agreed by the board of directors. So in future, there's no issue if something's happened. So that is why the management and the CEO and the technical team and the management teams are very clear what to do if there's something happens. Otherwise, what happened in the future, in past, what happened that we were in a reactionary mode, right? Something happens, then the board sits and see what to do. So based on those lesson learned, we developed this rule and regulation, provided manual For example, this financial policy, this is travel policy, this is your HR policy, and this is your policy for the users, right? What you have to do in case 1, in case 2, in case 3. I would say it is almost impossible because, for example, let me give an example of underutilization. So a lot of awareness was done. Initially, when we asked the community to use this electricity for heating and cooking, for cooking especially, you use your device, and so there's a no, look at the meter. It's a prepaid meter, right? So they are looking at the numbers running, right? So those 10 rupees, and now it is 100 rupees. So we are not going to do. Then we sat with the community members and asked them that you are using firewood, fuel wood. That comes from lower Chitral because there are small patches of natural forest. So after the windfall, they collect the fuel wood and sell in the market. So the average cost of the household per year, on average, it is around 50,000 Pakistani rupees. So if they use electricity, so in addition to other benefits such as hygiene and smoke-free environment, the cost is around 25,000. So it is half of the fuel wood cost. So it took 2 to 3 years to make them understand that the use of electricity is not expensive. In some cases, they use their own wood, cutting trees, fruit trees, and forest trees. So it is again expensive and environmentally unfriendly activity. So it took time to make them understand and build their capacity. Also, for these systems, if we do not provide financial experts, we do not provide consultant to work with the utility companies, make them understand how to go with the compliance requirement, statutory requirement, how to do audit, how to engage auditor. So, and then how to set tariff and how to document these, how to make the shareholders formal by, signing the documents and making them, what we call by the notary public, make them formal and register them in government. So a lot of efforts and a lot of investment was made to make them understand and build their capacity to run this unit. The other thing is, still they look at AKRSP when there's something wrong. For example, if there's a damage in the channel, they came to AKRSP in past. Look, the channel is damaged. So we say, go to the utility companies and ask the board to provide you with resources. You have resources saving you. So still AKRSP is 51% shareholder, so naturally, but gradually now the responsibility is shifting to the communities, but still there are capacity gaps, and we are trying to provide support through donor funds, our internal resources to build the capacities and strengthen the system and make this system sustainable operational model for these medium-sized units. You know what? Once we design a medium-sized project and even small projects, one of the formal process is cost-benefit analysis. That includes both economic and financial cost-benefit analysis of the project. So if you do economic cost-benefit analysis, then you need to determine the life of the project, right? So it is not forever. So, for example, for these medium-sized units, we estimate around 30 to 35 years project life. And also, we expect and invest a lot of repair work during this period and replacement of some of the equipment and transmission lines, etc. So, once you construct a hydro unit in a community and ask them to run this sustainably, they do it. But usually the units are not sustainable. If the government grids come there and some other units are constructed, better one is constructed, though they abandon the old one. We have some examples in Gilgit-Baltistan and Chitral. So that is why we included this utility model where they are also expecting, income, individual income. So they are not only the beneficiary, they are also the investor in the unit. So this model works because they know that if they invest in the unit, it will sustain. If it sustains, it's not only provide services to the household, but the household gets income from the system. So that was the basic element where we ensured sustainability of these units. And if you look at the revenue generation, if we increase the tariff, if we increase the commercial utilization, because the area is now open for tourism, and Shandur is very famous polo ground, the highest polo ground in the world. So there is a Shandur festival held every year. So with a lot of people coming from down country, from abroad, attending the festivals for 2-3 years. So this area has great potential for tourism. So we are promoting community guest houses. We are promoting other businesses in this area. So if the number of commercial units are increased, the tariff for commercial utilization is greater than the other users. So the units will increase its profit. Even if now we pay the loan, then the units is in profit. But the issue is, how far these machineries sustain, because still there is a risk. The area is very fragile in terms of environment. We usually get flash floods, heavy snowfalls that disturbs and damages the transmission line. So we expect a lot of maintenance work in the future when this machinery gets old. So that is the concern, and that is why we are keeping some saving with the utility companies to replace some of the equipment in future and ensure that the capacity of the unit is not reducing.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much, Sherzad ji.
In 2008, when we agreed to formalize the community institution who will construct and run this institution, so we selected one site in Gilgit, Hunza, Ahmedabad, and 2 in Chitral. One of them was Raman. So the idea was AKRSP will mobilize resources and ensure that community gets loan from the commercial bank, and we also mobilize resources from donors. So we selected 3 units, and in 2011, this work started on Raman Hydro project, and from 2011 to 2015, around 60% of the work was done, and then we lacked resources. Then we approached SDC that time, and SDC kindly agreed to support 2 of these units, one Raman, the other one is Yarkhon Valley, which is called Power Utility Company. So Yadgar Utility Company in Power Yarkhon. So we completed this unit in 2015. We inaugurated this unit in a high-profile manner. Where ambassadors, high government officials participated, and we inaugurated this unit in late 2015. So far, it is running well. And we had damage in the power channel in 2017, and that was repaired, and resources were provided from utility companies. There was no additional amount requested from AKRSP, so the community managed themselves to repair the unit. This was first time that AKRSP was, not requested to fund. So they just requested to release fund because AKRSP is part of the board, and then they convene the board meeting and look at the estimates and approve the cost.
Else that you're preparing?
Yeah, grid arrival will not be a challenge because if still you look at the subsidized tariff rate, the provincial government provides subsidized tariff rate. The federal government, WAPDA, Water and Power Department of Pakistan, which is a bigger entity, that provides the tariff is too high. It is somehow 25 rupees or 30 rupees per kilowatt hour. And the subsidized provincial unit, which is PDO, they have 2-3 units in Chitral. They provide electricity around rupees 17. So that is much higher. So the utility company provides around 8, 5, and for commercial units 9. So it is very low. So there is no risk that the people will shift to government. The government does not have any immediate plan. But the utility company does not consider it a challenge if the government extends grids to there, because the tariff is very high and people cannot use these for heating and cooking. Other challenges include the fragile, this environment, because the tariff is the terrain is very, very difficult. We frequently have these flash floods, and the diversion of the water for the power channel, it is not cemented. It is rough. So every year you have to work on the headworks of the channel. So this one channel, one challenge. The community needs to provide labor, and also we need to spend some money on this activity. We can't help because this is the only available site for construction of hydro, but it is in red zone in the vulnerability assessment. We need to do some mitigation work every year. That is one challenge. Commercial utilization, the underutilization rather, underutilization of peak hours is a challenge, because the peak hours is 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. In evening and night time. And then there's generally underutilization. We cannot run the generator technically less than 250. So we need to run over 250. If the utilization is 50 kilowatt, then there is a huge underutilization of the electricity. So that is one challenge we are looking how we can overcome this by increasing the commercial use, and then reduce the amount of energy used by the communities in the peak hours. So if they can do ironing in the morning time, and they can use other devices which are not necessary in the evening, so we can increase the utilization. So these are some of the challenges. Yes, the regulatory framework, the compliances are challenges, because Pakistan is under FATF observation. We are in gray list, so that impacts all the organization which are dealing with finances and which are registered under government authority. So there's strong check, and we need to ensure compliance. That needs resources, that needs human resources, and we need to be very vigilant. And AKRSP also provides supports and support the technical staff and finance team to ensure that they meet the compliance requirement of the government. So that is one challenge. For us, the most important thing that we have been able to engage women, whether as a leader in the governing body, whether the beneficiaries of our commercial business plan. So that is one thing in Laspur as compared to other areas. The women are very forthcoming. They are working in the management, two of them, and then in the boards they are contributing, and also 8 of the 20 or 21 businesses are owned by women. So that is one thing. The other thing, Raman is a good example of utility companies. Many people are visiting and looking at this model, and this model is somehow has the potential to be replicated in other areas. So that is achievement. And also this is very remote valley. So if you go to the valley, and because we generally in Pakistan, we have this electricity issue. We don't have reliable electricity, and there's continued load shedding. So if you go to Laspur, you have very reliable and powerful electricity there. So you can run any device there. So internet is it is now there in Mastuj, and we hope that it will go to this valley. So that will help improve the education, especially girls' education in those areas. So that is something we are thinking is a kind of achievement. We worked with the carbon finance. It was the project we were part of. So we were getting carbon credit, right? Reducing carbon credit. So Raman was not part of that program, but generally there was more than 50 units which were part of this program. So as clean energy. So AKRSP earned good money. And I think Raman was part of that, but when the program was closed out, that time Raman was not operational, but it was part of that. So Raman could not get the credits, but in other units, yes, AKRSP received a good amount of money. AKRSP was facilitating the process as investor. SDC fund was basically for environment, right? So the major part was agriculture and forestry, where we planted trees and did some land stabilization and build the capacity of the communities, reduce the overgrazing. So it was a full package. So as part of the climate change initiatives, adaptation initiatives, Raman and other utility company, Yadgar utility company, part of that. And with other resources, we are also trying to respond to these climate change issues. And these units themselves are interventions in the environment. So we need to be careful that we control the damage, and we improve the environment by investing in agriculture, land stabilization, and plantation.
Hello again. We covered a number of themes in the chat with Sherzad Ji, and I'd like to briefly summarize. We started with the building blocks of the community utility company model, including how to select board members, how rules and regulations were developed, how shareholders were established, and how the project was on its way to achieving financial viability. We also discussed the multifold and inclusive benefits of the approach experienced by all of the households, including energy access, of course, but also income from dividends from the shares, the services provided by the productive end uses, and the restoration of watersheds. We hope that you've benefited from this edition of StreamSide Chats, And we want to take a moment to give our special thanks to Sherzad ji for joining us and sharing his insight and experiences at AKRSP and AKDN. We thank you for joining, and we hope that you stay tuned for the next edition of StreamSide Chats. Thank you.